Adding to the main cast of a series is by no means a straightforward endeavor. Juggling screen time between a large cast can lead to the death of a series, as fan favorites can end up left in the dust due to a variety of reasons that the author finds are not conducive to forwarding their narrative. By no means do I imply that we should ever flippantly throw in as many characters as we can because they are lovable to one demographic or another, but it's always nice to dream about that one outstanding side character being brought into the spotlight, and that is precisely what we're going to be doing today. Hello everyone, I'm Ozzy, and this is my theory on why, mostly, everyone will be joining the Eden Zero crew. Well, I say mostly everyone, however, this originally stemmed from the idea of one individual in particular joining the crew. However, after diving down that rabbit hole as to why they would, I found myself reasoning out exactly why particular others could be in the running as well. Starting out with whom I predict to be the most obvious, we have Jin. Our glorious cyborg ninja has a lot going for him already. However, this doesn't originate at simply wanting him to join because I think he's cool, even though he is. He's very cool. I mean, he's a ninja for crying out loud. Despite our broody boy wanting little to do with our main cast, it was impressed upon us long ago that he was willing to do whatever it took to help save his sister clean, even if it meant horrible things to other people. The thing to note, however, is that despite his willingness to go through with these vile acts, he has always felt remorse for his actions, and his loyalty is purely towards his objective of saving her. The question of what exactly her ailment is doesn't really matter within the context of this story, as Sister has shown herself within the view of Jin to be on a miraculous level of healing prowess. Funny enough, upon rereading the Gilstark, I realized that the only thing preventing him from asking Sister then and there is the urgency to get off the planet. I am personally of the belief that, should the occasion arise, Jin is completely willing to leave Drac and Joe in order to have Clean out of danger and presumably healed with no strings attached. Okay, this is where things get a little crazy, because now we're going to jump into a theory within a theory within a theory, as to better explain these next few characters. As you may have guessed, my next candidate for recruitment is Clean. However, at the same time, there is a bit of a complication at the moment, considering she is a bad guy, and not only a bad guy, but a bad guy that is in the midst of fighting a good guy, so why should she be a candidate? Well, a few chapters ago, this concept of Drac and Joe being undead was revealed. However, the method to which this works is still a mystery. At the same time, we have to wonder why Clean, who in some way needs to be healed, is with Drac and Joe of all people. Is it black market connections or something more than that? Well, let's go back and try to understand the concept of the element 4 to begin with. Drac and Joe states that the foundation of alchemy stems from the 4 elements of fire, water, wind, and earth. He goes on to say that the element 4 are a part of him. Later on, Laguna restates these claims, stating specifically that he is a part of Drac and Joe. Taking into consideration that these are all real people and not just lifeless dolls, I theorize that all 4 of the element 4 are actually terminally ill. If we take into account this idea of them being a part of Drac and Joe, I believe this to be feasible. By selling them salvation in the form of one of the 4 elements, they are bound to him. It completely fits his theme as a loan shark, and leads me to believe that this undead ability relies upon calling back the indebted life he has loaned out to these individuals. It also explains their shared fear of Joe to such an extreme extent. I mean, sure, Drac and Joe is a horrifying guy. However, save from breaking up the fight between Jin and Shiki, his punishments have typically been doled out by others at his command. In my opinion, it makes sense to be more afraid of Joe if he has something on you that could ruin you. the simple punishments we've seen so far are small in the face of the devoted savagery we've seen from the Element 4. With that all said, the reason I see for Clean joining the Eden Zero crew boils down to an absolute dependence. In the same way that Jin is desperate enough to work for Joe, it's understandable for Clean to rely upon Sister as well. This is especially the case if Drac and Joe doesn't end up dying in this arc, as there would be no safe haven to take her to. Within that same logic, my next guess at a new recruit would be Laguna. Now, let's stop for a minute. In case you were thinking I was going to go down the list of Element 4 members and state my case for each, I'll stop you right there. This is my last one. As for Phi and Daiichi, the two are far too sinister and conniving to be considered in my opinion. The damage they've done and the character they've been built to be thus far is too one-dimensional for me to consider them as options. But that's not my only reason. And I'll completely admit that I'm going into crazy territory with this remark. In Fairy Tail, there was also an Element 4. Within this Element 4, there was also a recruit that wound up becoming an endearing member of the main cast. That member was Juvia Loxer, the water element. Now, that is honestly, in my eyes, a really dumb coincidence. But a cool, dumb coincidence nonetheless. My actual reasoning for Laguna, beside him being one of my favorite characters in the series thus far, is because on more than one occasion, he has shown compassion towards his enemies. Going with the theory of Drac and Joe using the Element 4 in order to extend his life, I believe that coupled with the extended kindness the crew have already shown, it would be just the push he needed to find a new profession. Lastly, because I'm not going to talk about Elsie in this video, and this, mind you, is a pretty out there theory, is Lobelia. Now, in regards to her, my theory is pretty loose, but I just don't see her character arc ending in this arc. There's always the chance that by the end of things she will see Rebecca in a new light. However, as the current rival to our main girl, I can't see her leaving the scene just yet, and the crew will be leaving the cosmos after this arc. I feel that Rebecca has to beat her before things end with the two of them, and if that's not going to happen, the next natural thing would be to have their rivalry reinforced and continued to be pushed. She is obviously an annoying character, but there is plenty of room for her character to bloom into something amazing. Weird and out there as it is, that's my theory on the current state of things. What do you guys think? Who do you want to see join the crew? Who do you not want to see as part of the Eden Zero? Let me know down in the comments or over on Twitter, but that's all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next video, seal seal.